Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from Last Stand Gamers, and welcome. So today I'm down at Anzio Camp in Leek once again, and I'm just about to begin an assault on one of the buildings. I've spotted one of the objectives to the left of the doorway, and I'm going to attempt to try and recover it. But as I started to sprint across, I noticed that there's also some people up in the windows, and the idea with these objectives, you can't really loiter around with them, you've got to grab them and go. So I thought I would try and get this guy out the question, and if I bump into any teammates I can report back to them saying that the objective's right at the front door and hopefully grab it on the way out. But that doesn't necessarily go to plan. Now I'm creeping up the staircase, my breathing's quite heavy, I've just ran a little bit and I've hopped out of a few windows. There's debris all over the floors making things just sound so much louder. You can also hear some movement from enemy players, and one thing that's really hard is to work out where they're from, but I spot one on the left and I managed to take him out with a few well-placed shots, and we're moving around the other side. Now one thing that I really like to do in these buildings, especially when you're on your own, is keep moving, so you try to multiply the sort of force of yourself, so you make it feel like there's more than one player who's got into that building. And as soon as you drop one or two of them, that's when they start to get scared. They start to feel that there is a few of you out there, when necessarily it could just be one of you moving around between locations. Now at this point, their fire has shifted to the other side, and I'm going to show you a little bit of the weapon before we continue. So this was originally a WE L22A2. Now I've shortened it down, took the front off and added an AFV front end. We've also got an SRS solar powered red dot and a surefire flashlight and some dodgy sort of camera mounting brackets on the front. Also got a lens protector, so don't worry worrying about the glass on the front of that. It runs off the WE open bolt system, and let's get straight back into it. So I'm still clearing along the left hand side of the corridor, and I'm moving a little bit closer. Hopefully their attention's been diverted to one side, but I'm also quite aware that they've probably revived one or two of them players once again. So I'm moving here to check it, clear it out, make sure no one was in here, and then as I approach this door, I get a nasty shock because there's a guy right around the corner in the other doorway. So I return a little bit of fire to try to get him back behind his door, and I pull out the pistol because this is going to need a bit of a much closer sort of feel to get around this door. So as I pop out, I manage to get a lucky shot on the guy in the doorway, and he walks off dead. As I come around the next, I get taken out by another one of the players. Very good little bit of gameplay between each other. All they have to do now is report back the objective.
Fuck it, going straight across, going to air.
So moving on to the next scenario, a little bit later on in the day, we came into a position where the lines were very mixed. Due to the amount of players on the site, it meant players were in front and behind, and there was no guaranteed front line position. So it meant that quick dashes through the open to other buildings could bring you up on a position behind a lot of the enemy team, making it quite easy to pick them off. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here. We're trying to close some ground between the D buildings, and the idea here is to enter this building to cut off one of the main supply routes, or the route between the embassy and the buildings that you just saw on the right. Now this is one of the worst parts of approaching any of these buildings. It's very dark inside, hard to see what's going on, and luckily I managed to catch a glimpse of a player there, and I got a shot on him and took him out. Now I can hear a lot of different things going on in this building. There's shouting, there's movement, and I can catch a glimpse of the player on the wall there. No. I wasn't too sure if it was a marshal, but looking back at the footage it was clear that it was two players. So I move around, putting fire on the corner, trying to dominate that corner and take out the two players on both sides. Now I pushed a little bit too hard here, and I was trying to move further forward than I probably should have. I should have probably just held the position and wait for the friendlies to come in behind me, but I continued to push the corridor anyhow. So I wanted to add this little clip in because I thought it was a little bit interesting. This was the embassy building that I was talking a little bit about before. It's very dark in here, and I tried to avoid it for filming purposes because you don't get very good footage out of it unless you've got your torch on. We're actually searching for some of the objectives now that can be hidden around the area. In this case it was a little safe that had some sort of combination keypads. The building was pretty much clear. There's a little bit of a firefight going on the other side, and people were just searching for the actual objective itself. I just thought it was quite interesting to actually see this clip because it's more of an objective driven clip than the usual sort of kills that I just tend to put in these videos. So there we go, we found the crate and we're going to have to extract that back out, and it was very good. It was a very smooth sort of procedure by our team. They worked well together and managed to get them objectives back throughout the whole of the day.
Safe is going out! Safe secure!
So the second part of this mission was to recover a laptop. We managed to infiltrate up the left flank through a scarcely wooded area into a position, but the problem was that we weren't expecting there to be that much open ground between us and the buildings that we wanted to enter. Now the brick wall up at the top is their respawn point, so we can't be using that, and the building on our far right is held by the bad guys, so we need to get across the building right in front of us without taking too much fire. Now the guy goes down next to me, and before I go down myself I decide to just go for the run and try to get across this field into that building to cause as much disruption to the enemy as possible, and luckily I managed to make it under some really heavy fire from both sides. I believe another player behind me also managed to make the dash, so he'll be joining me in here in a second. So we're back into the dark corridors of the building where everything seems to echo. Just took the safety off my CZ P09, the duty model, and now I'm moving up the staircase to try to get a bit of high ground on the enemy themselves. Now I'm not sure if anyone's up here, and I'm trying to adjust my sort of breathing levels so I can hear exactly what's going on and lower my heart rate after that sort of mad dash across the field. So I'm just taking it really slowly so I can recover from that. Now as I move into here, I start to hear a little bit of a crunching rumbling sound coming from the left hand side as pellets are being kicked out the way and something's being disturbed, so I decide to take left first. Now I later kind of regret this option, so I move left and I'm going to clear that little room there. Now as I cross the corridor, a guy just happened to be coming out that doorway at that exact moment in time, so the problem was I had to engage him, but I didn't manage to get the shot on him, so I'm going to switch back to the L22 and try to finish him off, hoping that he's the only guy in there. I spot his teammate, take him out, and I move to try to get the second guy, but as I move into position I get killed. A very nice little bit of a firefight as well as a mad dash. Now moving on to a later scenario this day. Now this one got really confusing. There was players pretty much all over the place at all times, and just being somewhere a minute or a half a second before could save your life. So it was people just in the next room and you just happened to walk past that door at that exact moment in time and you were safe. 2 seconds later you would have been dead, and I got very lucky actually getting this far. So I'm going to go into the building and head upstairs as I do. Now one of the main problems with these buildings is the staircases themselves. If they're held well, they're pretty much impossible to actually take or get up them. So I can hear some fire coming from the other side of the building, so I want to be really careful around here. Checking my corners, and now I'm heading up the stairs as well. And I also see a dead teammate coming down the stairs, so I was a little bit worried at this point. So there must be some yellows or something going on up here, but I actually cleared it and there was nothing, and now I'm heading back down. Now in that time that it took me to clear upstairs, the yellows have actually moved in all around this building, and I was really surprised how fast they'd done it, because I'd literally just circled the building upstairs, and by the time I was trying to come down there was players there. And I wasn't guaranteed that this guy had actually been killed until I heard him say "dead men walking." I fired another shot to convince any of his friends that I was going to be watching that door, and I thought to myself in my head that if I was them I would be moving to that other staircase to try to get up. And due to me thinking there's only just 1 or 2 of us in this building, we need to be able to watch as many sort of angles as possible.
There's a guy downstairs on the staircase.
Now, me thinking about this staircase, as I head over here, I do manage to catch a glimpse of a guy through this doorway here. Now, these stairs are horrible. Horrible firefights happen on them. You just see the gas burning, so I'm prepared. Take the shot, and manage to eliminate him. Now, I do wait here for a second before I do another round of the building to check from all the angles, try to get some different windows, and I come back to this staircase after I spot them moving from the other side. And once again, I managed to take a few more out, but I get killed myself. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.